My cousin's jealousy destroyed my daughter's confidence, and she won't apologize.
Maybe your daughter should just be a better person.
Well, I think she is such a good person. That's why the cousin's so jealous.
Does it sound like it?
Anyway, OP is 49 female. Her cousin, who's getting married, is 23 female. The daughter in question, who is the aerialist, is 16 female. I hope this is okay to share. The reason I'm posting is because of my daughter, who's been hurting in the aftermath of a recent performance. I'm sorry in advance for how long this turned out, but any advice from fellow aerialists would be greatly appreciated.
Okay, good. I thought it was just theater, and I was about to be like, oh my gosh, no. Aerialist? You know what aerialist is.
I'm sorry, you're disrespecting the theater?
I have a lot of baggage with theater chicks, okay?
Fair enough. I do too.
And now I have to live with one.
I was a theater boy. Yeah. I was a little theater rat.
Yeah, me too, man. I was John and the Little Women. John Burke.
Oh, see, we didn't get to do cool plays like that. Or anyway, I could rant about my drama teacher.
Oh yeah, I know you can.
Anyway, by the way, this comes from user Throw Away the Finances on the r/OKstorytime subreddit. So, my cousin Dana, not real name, had her wedding 2 weeks ago, and she asked if my daughter could perform at her reception. My daughter, Jane, also a fake name, has practiced silks and lyra for the past few years at a nearby circus studio. And she's also performed with/through the studio at small gigs.
Oh, so wow.
Just for anyone watching who's not familiar with what we're talking about, it's like people who do like acrobatics on like curtains almost. Like they're like big flowy drapes, like pieces of cloth, and they like swing around and do all kinds of flips and spins.
And if you don't know, go to the Zookeeper at the wedding scene that they crash, and there's a scene of these people doing that.
The Zookeeper?
Yeah, with Kevin James.
Anyways, she hopes to continue this into adulthood and become a professional teacher. But this recent incident has shaken her confidence. She has a private Instagram to document her progress and performances, and I only post certain performances on my Facebook, her first gig with the studio, and her first recital, to name a few that we're proud of.
Okay, cool. You're being an awesome mom.
Yes, W mom. Supportive in a way that your daughter's comfortable with.
Yeah, just like how any mom would. Mm-hmm. Hopefully. how any good mom would do.
Well, my mom's great. She's very supportive, but sometimes she can be so supportive that it makes me anxious, and I have to tell her to like, that I love her deeply and that I appreciate it so much, but that it just really needs to like just a little bit less.
Just tone it down a little bit, Mom.
Just a little bit less. And it's not your fault. It's on me, but like, please.
That's why on Facebook, see what Mom's saying about me.
Some of our relatives saw her performances through my socials, and they watched her perform at her studio's Christmas recital when we hosted Christmas at our home a few years back. Something that surprised her when they visited early to see her. I love how they coordinated that, and Jane said it was her loudest cheering section to date. So that's good, positive memories. Dana was one of the relatives who came up early to see her Christmas recital, and she's always been super supportive. She asked me if Jane would be willing to perform at the reception, and I asked on her behalf. Jane was honored and excited when I did, and we already had a portable rig for her too, though we ended up renting a taller one from her studio. Dana got the idea from a YouTube video featuring an aerialist who performed at a wedding reception, and she showed us while requesting white silks and a white outfit. We scoped out the venue and purchased white silks along with a white costume that Dana approved of, and Jane was really excited throughout. I feel like it's a bold move going white costume at your wedding, right? Like maybe they're trying to do a little artsy thing, but like I hope she doesn't just like flip the script and is like, I don't want you to wear white. Like I can see that happening.
Our fans, out of all of the things that they've been split on with the poll, the one thing that they're always 100% on is not wearing white to a wedding.
Jane even worked on choreography to a song that Dana requested, and she put a lot of time into it, even asking one of her coaches to help her with it. Dana insisted on paying her for the gig despite Jane not expecting to be paid, and she paid her a few hundred. However, Dana has had a change of heart. Oh boy. Jane received a standing ovation after her performance. That surprised her, but we didn't know anything was wrong until Dana went on Facebook a few days later. Dana said she didn't approve of the outfit Jane wore, And that she specifically told her to not wear white. Come on. Look who was right. Go back to you. Him. He was right.
And Dana's the bride, right?
Dana was the bride.
Yep, you never wear white. No matter, even if the bride tells you, hey, wear white, you never wear white.
Clearly.
We have seen stories upon stories where this exact instance has happened. You never wear white to a wedding, no matter what.
Even if they tell you, clearly, because she just flipped the script.
Don't do it. Oh my gosh.
She also said that my husband and I pressured her to have Jane perform, and that the performance gave off a quote-unquote unclassy vibe. Lies that my husband and I couldn't believe she was saying.
Oh man, it was like, here's what happened. You had the most special day of your life. You wore a big wedding dress. You had head to toe looking beautiful. And then someone stole the attention from you for how long do you think?
It's a performance. I can't imagine it's longer than 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah, and you couldn't take it.
Because that stuff's hard to do too.
Yeah.
Like it's intense.
It takes a lot of core.
Yeah.
And you can't handle that. You can't handle can't handle the attention.
You set yourself up to get upstaged at your own wedding, and now you're making it Jane's fault instead of your own fault. So we sent Dana numerous costume links, and we purchased the one she liked. There was also nothing wrong with Jane's performance. Dana was one of the people cheering afterwards. Jane received nothing but compliments, but I'm disgusted that she had to see that post after all the work she put into her performance.
Dang.
The post also had comments disabled for what it's worth. She wouldn't even let people clap back. Oh, Dana, that was a cowardly move, Dana.
Ooh.
So I called Dana to confront her about her lies, but she didn't pick up numerous calls. I then called her parents, who, like us, had received messages about her post, and they said that Dana was wrong. They apologized on her behalf and said they were also disgusted. Dana's mom also said that Dana vented to her before making her post a few days after the reception. Dana told her that she regretted asking Jane to perform, given the attention, compliments, and cheers she received for it. Her mom also said that she felt upstaged with Jane wearing white and having to hear how good she was. This is like the guy, this is like the meme of the guy riding a bike and he takes a stick and shoves it into the front wheel and falls down. Like that's what Dana did to herself here.
I saw a video of that yesterday. It was so funny.
Dude, honestly, that's a great stunt. Like shout out to all the stuntmen who do that. Stuntmen and stuntwomen. But the stunt
Sexist.
people. Yeah.
He just said women can't do that.
It's a great stunt. I didn't. They're stunt people, I guess. You know? Anyway. Dana's parents tried to call her after she made her post, but she didn't answer after their previous conversation ended with her parents telling her she shouldn't be bitter because she specifically asked Jane to perform. Dana's parents reported the post along with us and others, and we've told the truth to those who reached out, along with a post to explain our side and to stand up for Jane. We literally have text proof of sending costume links that Dana chose from. Dana's parents also requested to talk to Jane on the phone to apologize for Dana's behavior. And my husband and I told Jane that Dana was wrong and that we'll be distancing ourselves from Dana permanently. Dana's parents were surprised at her behavior, and we were too, having seen her grown up. Granted, we only see extended family for Thanksgiving and Christmas because we live far, but other relatives were surprised too, as it seemed to come completely out of left field. Maybe there's a side of Dana we'll never know from our limited holiday/milestone interactions, but our focus is on Jane. We've tried to cheer Jane up by offering to take her to dinner among other activities, but she's been hurting, which is why I'm here. Jane hasn't practiced at home or the studio since the reception, and I don't want to invade her space at her studio by asking or telling anyone there in case she doesn't want anyone to know, which is a good move. Good job. You need to talk to her first before you decide to do that. She asked me to return the white silks and costume after being so excited to receive them. She also said she's going to take an extended break from Ariel to reconsider if she wants to continue. That would be a huge mistake. But we'll get into that later. Let's keep going. Aside from Ariel, she's taking a break from seeing non-Ariel friends too, choosing to pretty much keep to herself. We would appreciate any advice from fellow aerialists on how to lift her spirits. We remind her of how we're proud of her, along with the many compliments she received, but she's asked for space and to not talk about it. We're going to respect that and let time do its thing, but we'll consider any advice from other aerialists who can relate to the time and work she put in. Sorry for this being so long, but we appreciate anyone who reads and takes the time to reply. So we do have an update here. Before I get into the update, we've got the ages. The bride is 23.
Mm-hmm.
The performer is 16. So with the bride being 23 and the performer being 16, and like, you know, they're
probably jealous.
The bride is young. It's understandable that she maybe had that immature response, but I mean, it's not forgiven or excusable, but it's like, it makes sense that this isn't like someone in their 30s or 40s like saying this to switch up like that, you know, probably impulsively was like, oh yeah, well, let's do the white because that's what the video that I saw looked like. And it's like, she wasn't really thinking. And then in the moment she realized, oh, I hate how I feel like I'm being, it's supposed to be me. It's me. This is my day.
Yeah.
And it's fair. It's your wedding. You get to make it your day. But in terms of like how to go about, I think, recovering the confidence, it's like 16 is a real delicate age. She doesn't want to talk about it. I don't think you should just let it go because it could really become a damaging thing.
Yeah.
You don't want this to become like a core memory that like informs how she moves throughout her life from now on.
Yeah.
Because it is completely on the bride for doing the switch up, for lying, for deceiving. And it's because she feels insecure about her own stuff. And she's now projecting that insecurity onto OP's daughter. And, you know, that's not fair to her. But you can't strong arm it because it's just going to make her shut down more. So if you can figure out how to have this discussion about how to, you know, kind of stand 10 toes down, and if that makes sense, or like be like, you know, proud, even if people have, you know, want to talk crap on you or talk down on you, to like be faithful in yourself and have your own beliefs in yourself. Maybe find a different context outside of the performance to have that discussion. You know, you're going to have to maybe do a little tactical conversation talk there, because she clearly doesn't want to talk about the moment. But let's get into the update. Before I get into what's happened since my last post, I want to thank everyone who took the time to comment. 2 pieces of advice really stood out, and I'll get to them shortly. Since my original post, Dana's Facebook post is gone.
Ooh.
I don't know if she deleted it or if enough people reported it for Facebook to remove it, but we're glad it's gone either way.
I was going to say, you repost that video, turn the comments on, let it do its thing. That's what I would have done.
Yeah. She never apologized to us or Jane or even bothered to call, so our position on being permanently done with Dana stands. My husband and I made a post on Facebook addressing the lies she spewed about our daughter, and we shared photo proof of Dana's texts where she approved of Jane's white costume from the links we sent, not to mention the song choice that she sent us too. Better yet, Dana's mother reposted it on her account, which really surprised me. Dana's mother wrote that they loved Jane's act and that they disapproved of Dana's actions. My husband and I also made sure that Jane was okay with us addressing it on Facebook, and she said it was fine. Again, W parenting move, making sure your child is comfortable with this. Normally, I wouldn't use Facebook to address drama if it's aimed at me, but since this involves a grown adult attacking my daughter, a minor, we felt the need to address it publicly because she disparaged her publicly. And Jane will remember whether we stood up for her or not years from now. I had a chance to speak with Dana's mother since my original post on the phone, and she spoke to Dana again since our last call. Dana reiterated how she regretted asking Jane to perform, but she harped on the standing ovation that bothered her the most. Dana told her that she expected Jane to get some polite applause, but that the overwhelming response really sent her over the edge because she expected the loudest cheers to be when she and her husband entered the reception, but that went to Jane instead. So Dana's just like, I was jealous, really jealous.
That's what it was from the beginning.
Does she think that's an appropriate excuse for her behavior, though? Like, that's absurd. At 23 to be like, but you don't understand. I was really jealous. And I was
really
upset
jealous
that
and hurt.
everyone enjoyed her more than me. That's
Who
not
knows,
okay.
man?
That's unacceptable.
I have seen worse.
You got to swallow that pill like an adult and say, all right. And you know what? You cheered and applauded too. If I remember correctly, Dana and her husband also received a great reception when they entered the reception, but Jane's performance did too, and Dana didn't expect it. I mean, heck, even Jane was surprised by the reception she got. She had never received a standing ovation from a solo act before. But Dana's mother believes that if Dana had asked someone to sing who received a similar reception, Dana's jealousy would have been exactly the same. Someone suggested seeing if Jane would be interested in speaking to a therapist, given how hurtful Dana's comments could be for a teen. And Jane said she's open to it so long as it isn't a counselor at school, because as of now, she doesn't want anyone at school or her studio to know about the incident, and she vaguely told the coach who helped her choreograph that it went fine. We will respect her privacy request, as it's her right to control the narrative. Hey, W parents, they're doing everything right about this.
Also,
You know, I can't believe I whiffed. I should have suggested gently advising potentially therapy here.
I am getting the bride behind closed curtains said something to the girl.
What do you mean?
Behind
like
closed doors.
Oh, okay. So not
Like, hey, you little shit. You're the worst
Right.
person ever.
Yeah, so it's like beyond the Facebook post, there was another interaction that's really gotten to OP's daughter. Yeah, that
I
you
think
you
that
could be
happened.
right about that.
That's when she's
Maybe
taking
even
it so
just
hard.
an aside. You know, at 16, little things can really, really get at you.
Oh, yeah.
And all it could take is like a sentence or two
Yeah.
that no one else heard, and all of a sudden you just feel like you're
Because
worthless.
you put all your worth and this is what's right and this is what's good, and then someone doesn't validate that, because these are very, you need a lot of validation
Yeah.
at this age.
Mhm.
Like, am I on the right
Yeah.
track? You need to be checking with a lot of people on that.
Yeah, just imagine she does that whole performance, and then like, you know, at the end of it, she's with the bride, and she just lets out a, oh yeah, you don't think that was maybe a little overdone, a little trashy, a little bit, a little unclassy?
Unclassy.
I mean, it was great. I love you, but I'm, you know.
And you shouldn't wear white, you
And
whore.
now she's gonna be like, ooh.
Exactly.
Anyway. But in the same vein, I suggested therapy for Dana to Dana's mother, since her reaction might be a bigger insecurity, and she said that she'd ask.
Ooh.
The other thing someone suggested was the possibility of Dana's husband or anyone making an inappropriate comment to Jane during the reception that made her shut down and not want to see friends or practice days before Dana's post. Look at this guy, knowing exactly. My husband decided to ask her, and Jane said no when he did. If something happened, perhaps she'd be more comfortable telling a therapist with time. But on the bright side, she said she might want to try a different aerial studio because she doesn't want to answer questions on how it went or share a video at her home studio. So we will help her find somewhere new as she asked. We hope she doesn't permanently leave her current studio because she has friends and coaches who are supportive, and she performs with that studio's troops at festivals and gigs. But I personally understand the need to sometimes go somewhere where nobody knows you for a break. And we hope that that will help her. But by the way, we want to know you, and you can know us by joining our live every weekday at 3 p.m. PST when we go live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and TikTok. All you got to do is tap on our profile and you're in. And if you want to be a mega fan, you can stream all 4 of them at the same time. But before you go and do that, hold on for a second, because we're going to collect ourselves here and finish the story. One thing that I think you could wait for therapy, or you could try to have this conversation. I feel like it's an important conversation to have as parents with, like, you know, a child who's at this age, right, where they're sort of in between adolescence and adulthood, where it's like, not that it's a game, but it's like you don't want this one moment to
shatter the dreams.
Not necessarily. I mean, yeah, she kind of shattered the dream because she's not doing it anymore. Like, she got real cold on it, but it's like now she's like, oh, I don't want to have to talk about it because it makes me feel uncomfortable. It makes me feel bad, or like, so I just want to like go somewhere else. And that's like, in a way, like that's the situation that has happened is what's now holding the power over you. And really the focus point of that needs to be that you crushed it and you had a standing ovation, and one person had a problem with it because of their own problems. Had nothing to do with you. You crushed it. The only thing that had to do with OP's daughter was that she did so well that it literally made the bride jealous.
Yeah.
So it has nothing to do. You should continue because you're excellent at it. And don't let anybody steal your shine. Like, that's really what it's all about. So trying to have that conversation, if she's not receptive to it, maybe she'll have to have it in therapy. But I feel like that's a real important conversation to have. Like, don't just fold. It's like, oh, you're uncomfortable? All right, we'll put you somewhere else. Because sometimes you got to stay in the discomfort. That's a fact of life. Sometimes you're going to be uncomfortable. And especially if it's something, a positive aspect of her life that's, that's being impacted, you don't want her to just like sort of fold in that moment. But you don't want to push her too hard. Everyone, I think that parents know how to parent their children better than anyone because they have all the context. But in general, that's what I would say. So let's finish this story. She hasn't said definitely to therapy yet, but if she does, we will take her. She still wants an extended break from Ariel in the meantime. But even if or when she goes back, she said she may never want to perform again and would rather do it leisurely. One of the reasons she doesn't want to return to her home studio where she's part of their troupe. She asked if we'd tell her troupe coach that she won't perform with them anymore if it comes to it. And if that's what she wants down the road, then we will. Another note here, it's like, if that's what she wants, that's fine, but she needs to be the one to say it.
Yep.
She needs to be the one to say it. Hopefully time heals this wound and helps her at least keep the friends that she has there, but we can only hope. And that is the end of that story.
Wow.
I mean, I think maybe with some therapy and with a good conversation, I understand wanting to be like, I'm not going to say that they're babying her right now, right? Because it's like everyone's different. And if she is really sensitive, I mean, clearly, I'm going to go out on a limb and say she is very sensitive because
Dana is
this
very
is
sensitive.
clearly impacting her. And who isn't sensitive at 16?
Yeah, I'm
talking about the daughter being I'm done with Ariel. I don't want to go back to here. And it's like, she's been crushing it there. And now this one thing is just like sending her down. But I think
Dana needs to apologize to her.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
Once that happens and you clear the air, she can probably come back. But it's going to take time.
It needs to, yeah. And I think if, I don't know if the daughter was involved in any of the conversations with Dana's parents when they called and apologized on her behalf. But I think if she wasn't, definitely have that be a thing. She needs to hear from outside that she did nothing wrong.
Yep.
But that is the end of that story.
That's the end of that story.